Hey guys, in this video I'm breaking down 10 autism symptoms. All that's coming up. Hey guys, welcome back to the AspieWorld. My name is Dan. I have autism, ADHD, OCD and dyslexia. I make weekly videos on this type of content, so if you're new around here and you'd like to learn more, remember to hit that subscribe button by clicking the notification bell. And if you're watching over on Facebook, be sure to give this page a like and a follow to see more videos just like this one. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the AspieWorld. Awesome to see everybody here watching an awesome new video. And if you're new to my channel, a big hello there. And you can get me on Instagram, Twitter and TikTok if you want to keep in touch with all my socials and stuff like that. So I wanted to do this list, breaking down 10 of quite common symptoms or traits or characteristics of people on the autism spectrum. Symptoms, traits and characteristics of people on the autism spectrum, and I've broken down 10 of the ones that I think are most interesting. Okay, so without further ado, let's jump in and check it out. Okay, so the first one I want to talk about is repetitive behaviour. Now, repetitive behaviour is basically where someone on the autism spectrum would be used to doing the same thing over and over again. So they might get up every single day at the same time, they might have the same cereal for breakfast every single day, and they may watch the exact same show at the exact same time and then go to work and have the exact same thing for lunch and the same when they come home from dinner. It's kind of a routine that is so structured and rigid that it makes them feel comfortable, makes them feel really calm and collected because they know what to expect. There's no uncertainty, nothing's going to pop out and rock the boat, if you will. So this is a huge indicator that somebody's on the autism spectrum, but repetitive behavior can come in many sections. Now, repetitive behavior also creates a routine where if they deviate from this routine or it kind of goes astray, they could get stressed, could get kind of a bit stressed out and possibly turn into a meltdown, which isn't a good thing, but it's an indicator to show you that this person is definitely into routines and likes routines, and therefore it's a common trait of autism. Okay, number 2 is a really obvious one if you know what you're looking for. Now, this one is eye contact or lack thereof. Now, people with an autism spectrum condition have issues with eye contact, that is maintaining eye contact and creating eye contact, especially in social situations. Now, I'm not saying that these people can't make eye contact at all, I'm just saying that they have issues with eye contact, and it's quite obvious because they'll kind of look off, you know, to the side of you or not look at you dead in the face. This is due to the fact that autism is a communication issue and a communicative developmental neurological disorder. So it does impact the ability for someone to really interact with somebody the way a neurotypical person does, you know, like typically and casually look someone in the eyes. Myself, personally, I find it really difficult to look people in the eyes. Even my parents, I find it really difficult to look people in the eyes. It's very uncomfortable, and it's just something that kind of like, it's almost like someone's looking into my soul when they look into my eyes. It's quite an interesting thing. So that is a top one. Like, it's so obvious. Like, if you know somebody who you suspect is on the spectrum and they are lacking in eye contact, this is a huge giveaway that potentially the person you're talking to could possibly be on the spectrum. And it's good to know that. That's why all these things are good to know. Okay, number 3. This one isn't as common in males as it is females, but it's definitely common across autism spectrum disorder, and that's non-verbal. Now, a lot of people who are on the autism spectrum are completely non-verbal, and they're selective mute, right? But non-verbal people have an autism spectrum condition that actually impairs their ability to speak like a neurotypical person or a person with lower support needs who's on the autism spectrum. Like for me, for instance, because my diagnosis was Asperger's syndrome, I actually have the ability to talk and I have a large vocabulary, even though, you know, it took me a while to build up confidence to talk in front of people. There are other autistic individuals who have no ability to talk at all in any situation. So they use things like iPads and other things to talk. You know, a lot of the time, a lot of doctors think that the child may be deaf, but in actual fact, it's not that they're deaf. They're on the autism spectrum and they may not be able to communicate through verbal speech. And that's absolutely fine. It's just something that you may notice in somebody who is non-verbal, that they are actually autistic. Okay, so number 4 is delayed speech. Now, people on the autism spectrum, when they are kids, probably around 3 or 4, you notice there's a huge delay in their speech. Now, the delay could actually be more impacted when they are around other children their age, like when they're starting school and they're kind of going to playgroups and play dates. You then notice that the other kids are a bit more advanced. So they're almost like held back with their speech. This is again a very common trait to look out for in people who are on the autism spectrum, and it could be that they have delayed speech right up until their teen years, and then all of a sudden they start speaking more and more frequent, you know, and a lot of the time maybe there is just broken speech patterns, and a lot of the time there are broken speech patterns, and they have no rock solid vocabulary with speech. They may have like almost like a temporary speech delay, so it's kind of like some broken up sentences, but they're still speaking, it's just broken up, which I find fascinating. But again, these are people with more higher support needs than people with lower support needs like myself. So there's definitely something to look out for and think about when you're dealing with somebody who potentially is on the autism spectrum. Okay, so number 5, cool, we're pacing through this. If you're really enjoying this video, guys, please give it a thumbs up by clicking that little thumbs up button below, because it really helps me out, and it would be amazing if you just, you know, give this video a like. Thank you. Okay, so number 5 is obsessive interest. Now, everybody, no matter what your support needs on the autism spectrum, has an obsessive interest, like something that they just love. Like, I love Tamagotchis, I love conspiracy theories, I love chemistry. I'm really into like coding and SEO and marketing and stuff like that. But I know some people who are into really like Marilyn Monroe, and people who are into like cars and motorcycles, and they get obsessed over it. And they get obsessed so much that they learn everything there is to know about it. They go to those places to see those things. That's all they want to talk about. They won't stop talking about it, and if you meet them and mention anything, they'll talk to you just about that. And that, to me, is one of the most overwhelming signs when you say like, oh, you know, they could just be obsessed with Minecraft. That's all they want to do is play Minecraft all day and talk to you about it. And that's cool, because why not? You know, we all have our things. But having an obsessive interest, and like a very like severe obsessive interest with a random topic or a general topic of interest, is pretty amazing. So I think that this is definitely a telltale sign of an autism spectrum disorder in somebody, so definitely something to look out for. Okay, so number 6 is lack of social skills. Now, lack of social skills is basically where a person on the autism spectrum doesn't know how to position themselves in a social situation. So they may not know when it's their turn to speak, they may not know how far away to stand from somebody, or how close to stand, or when it's, you know, what volume their voice is at, or how quiet they're speaking, or is there a personal space barrier. You know, they may also not have a social filter, like they don't know when to hold back and refrain from saying stuff. They may say things that may be perceived as offensive, but they're not trying to be offensive, they're just speaking honestly and openly, but they're not socially I don't know how to explain the real word for it, but it is social skills inept. And it's really interesting, because people learn those social skills as they grow up and they grow older, and they do things, and they talk to friends, and they do this, that, and the other. But with an autism spectrum disorder, because you're so busy focusing on the things in life that are overwhelming, just like the outside world, those things that kind of fall by the wayside. You don't learn as fast as the other kids for social situations, which is really interesting. But it's not the worst thing in the world, because you can create hacks and stuff to overcome it, which I actually teach. And if you're interested in learning more about the stuff that I teach, I will leave a link up here for a webinar course that you guys can take that I have created just for you. So it's totally free, and you can check that out. And it's all about autism and developing skills for people with autism. Awesome. Okay, so number 7 is difficulty relating to people. Now, people on the autism spectrum have a difficulty in relating to one another. They don't have the ability to look through someone else's eyes, if you know what I mean, or be in their shoes and see it from their point of view. And that is a form of relatability that is sometimes missed with people on the autism spectrum. They find it hard, or we find it hard to relate to other people when that person, you know, has maybe I don't know, maybe they're upset, maybe they are sad about something, maybe they're happy about something, maybe they want to tell you something, but they're waiting for you to ask them first. This ain't never going to happen. These are kind of like unwritten social rules, which ain't going to happen, because the person on the autism spectrum needs direct input in order to understand and expel those emotions back. So having a relatability to people is really difficult for people on the autism spectrum. It's not impossible, but it's super difficult, and you may notice this because it sticks out like a sore thumb when you can't relate to people and you can't understand where they're coming from and their point of view. It becomes quite an interesting conversation at the end of the day, but it also becomes a roadblock when you're trying to deal with people, especially on a public scale. Okay, so number 8 is one of the hard hitters, and this is social anxiety. Now, almost everybody I know with an autism spectrum disorder actually has social anxiety. Social anxiety is a kicker. It's the sometimes people think it's agoraphobia, but it's not. It's social anxiety, and people think it's general anxiety disorder when it's actually social anxiety, where the being around people in public and social settings is overwhelming, it's overpowering, it causes anxiousness and anxiety and breakdowns and meltdowns and all this stuff, and it's quite triggering for people on the autism spectrum. But you may notice this when someone is in public, they're completely different to when they're not in public, right? Or when they're around a lot of people in social situations, they're completely different to when they're at home in their comfort zone environment. And this is a social anxiety, and that is a telltale sign that someone is in the autism spectrum. Okay, so number 9 is bad executive function. Now, I can't tell you the amount of times my mum would grow up was like, can you do this, 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 and this? This is where the washing machine is, this is where all this stuff is for the washing machine, and can you do that now? And I'm like, Mum, I have no idea what, like, all these things just completely go amiss. Now, executive function, doing things, chores around the house, you know, all of the small fine details of life, like the cleaning and cooking and washing things, these all become really difficult to A, remember, and B, actually execute, because they're not things that come naturally to people on the autism spectrum, and they are difficult to keep up with. So I actually have schedules and apps and different things like that that I use to make sure I follow those. One of those apps, just for your information, is called Tiimo, which is Tiimo, and I will leave a link for them in the description below. It's an app specifically made for people on the autism spectrum and with ADHD. It's super cool. I love them. Check them out. Okay, so number 10 is poor communication skills. Now, people on the autism spectrum have issues with communication because autism at its core is a communicative issue. It's something that affects the way the brain gets communication signals from outside stimuli. It could be sensory, it could be verbal, it could be written, it could be emotional. All of these things are communicative, and people on the autism spectrum struggle with communication. Communication skills are difficult. It's difficult to talk to somebody, and at the best of times for a neurotypical person, a not autistic person, socializing, social skills and communication can be difficult. So when you have an impairment like autism that actually impacts communication and the communicative part of the brain, you can see a breakdown of you know, communication skills that are pretty poor in people on the autism spectrum. And actually most of the time the autistic person will just like retract from that situation and just forget it because it's just too difficult and they have poor skills in that area. Guys, if you enjoyed this video and you think somebody could get benefit from it, please share this on Facebook and Twitter. That would be amazing. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe. Peace.